Charlie Kirk, assassinated by the tolerant left. You know, I've said for a long time on this show that tolerance means that you can disagree with somebody, and the only thing that you can't do is kill them. That seems to be what happened. That seems to be a different definition of what tolerance is. When I was in school for my master's degree, I wrote a paper on tolerance. I was accused by the professor for cherry-picking research because he didn't like the true definition of tolerance. You see, this country has a twisted idea of what tolerance means. The radical left has this twisted idea that tolerance means that you have to agree with them. That's not what tolerance is. Tolerance means that everybody that has an opinion is free to have their opinion, and you can disagree with them even in a public setting. The only thing that you can't do is execute them for their opinion. And I thought that was understood in this country for a long time. But we see what the radicalized left has led to in this country. Assassination attempts on our president, assassination attempts on other political figures, and then they actually assassinate Charlie Kirk. Combine that with the stabbing on the train just the other day. Combine that with the school shootings that all seem to happen from these radicalized characters on the left. We've allowed them to radicalize our schools. We've allowed them to radicalize our media. Hopefully this is a wake-up call to Americans that something needs to change. Hopefully this is a wake-up call to those on both sides of the aisle that it's okay to have discourse on our college campuses, that it's okay to have discourse in our media, that it's okay to disagree with one another in a political setting, because that's what Charlie Kirk stood for. Charlie Kirk treated everybody with respect, and all he did was share his opinion on a college campus and was executed for it in cold blood. Aaron, I can see that you're itching. What you got for us?
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers, over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. I just brought that out first because I think that verse perfectly summarizes what happened yesterday at the Utah college campus. Charlie Kirk represented one of two kingdoms. We could sit here and make differences. I've been very critical of Charlie Kirk in the past. I respect and have always respected Charlie Kirk in many respects. But now's not the time to point out the differences. Today is the day to talk about what happened, because if we don't spend time understanding what's at play, we're all going to be affected by this violence, and we're going to lose the things that we cherish and value the most. So Charlie Kirk represented the kingdom of light. He stood on the side of nationalism, on the kingdom of God. He was a martyr for Christian nationalism. He was a martyr for conservatism. His murder has just crystallized Kirk's message of Christian nationalism for a generation, and has made it more popular than Kirk himself could have ever done on his own. And it also put on a stage with a spotlight that today's political left is horribly violent. We are now in a inflection point, in a mark in American history where we're no longer able to have civil discourse in this country. I don't think those days are ever going to come back. I think yesterday was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back in the context of civil debate and civil conversation with those that we disagree with.
Yeah, what shocked me, there was a couple things that shocked me. Number one, the response from so many on the left that were just vicious. And it kind of reminds me of just the other day when the founder of Focus on the Family died, Dobson. right?
Yeah.
In the response from the radical left in response to Dobson's death. And this, like, thank God he's dead. He brought it on himself. The one political pundit, MSNBC, who said that it must have just been his supporters firing off guns in celebration that shot him.
Wow. Okay.
That he brought it on himself. And then Lauren Boebert goes on the floor of the House at the time they were voting and asks for a moment of prayer, and the left boozer, throws a huge stink over the fact that she's requesting a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. And then just some of the political pundits online that have just gone after Charlie Kirk, that he brought it on himself, all this other stuff. And then at the same time, there's a huge outcry from the right that goes, we need to cancel South Park. And I think that's the last thing Charlie Kirk would have wanted.
Yeah, Mark Dice actually summarized what you just touched on, Jason. He said the liberal media killed the Charlie Kirk. Them and the unscrupulous Democrats in Congress who created a hysteria with their relentless propaganda depicting President Trump as the reincarnation of Hitler and his inner circle and even his average supporters as fascists. Liberals couldn't win the debates against Charlie Kirk when he visited college campuses across the country because their ideas are garbage and they are immoral fools. So they killed him in hopes of silencing his message, which has only put a spotlight on it and will cause it to spread 1,000 times faster and further than it was already going. R.I.P. Charlie. And then there was another meme that I saw that looked really fitting. It was a picture of Charlie Kirk with his fist raised at one of the TPUSA events. And it was a George Orwell quote: "The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it." I just think these are all time markers. These are like, this is a marker in time as how far we've gone. How far have we gone? We've gone to the point now where I'm hearing rhetoric from the right that I want to speak against today, which is now it's time for war. So there's also voices on the right that are taking the bait. They're seeing the leftist, communist, violent people celebrate, and that's now inciting rhetoric from the right of that this is now some sort of opportunity to start a war.
Yeah, I don't know as though this is going to break out into a war. I don't think it is. I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, we still have to go back and go, Lord, what do you want us to do? Lord, lead us. And that's not leading us back towards violence. But this is the way that we've watched it. And this is the thing is we knew this was going to happen. We talked about it a year ago in Pennsylvania after Trump was shot. We talked about the idea and the fact that the media has consistently called for violence. They've incited violence for years. And if you go back to January 6th, they accused Trump of inciting the riot. The left accused Trump of inciting the riot, but we have mayors and we have political figures on the left and media on the left that have literally called to take up arms and go to the streets in violence, that have called for violence against ICE and against police officers and against law enforcement across this country for the last 6 months. We have media and political figures that have consistently incited violence on the left. What did you think was going to happen? And that's exactly what was said after Trump was shot in Pennsylvania. And now we have the same situation where it's like, we know this. We know that the rhetoric coming out of the left is going to lead to this kind of violence. And sure, sometimes there's a need for political uprising. This is not the time.
Charlie Kirk himself actually said everything you just said. He tweeted, "Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response."
They have a violent response, losing in a conversation or not hearing you say what they want to say. This whole thing should actually, I don't want people to be scared. I want people to be cautious and be thinking. This should make you think a lot. What is a college nowadays? What is a college campus? It's a place of education, ideas, thoughts, opposition, different things transpiring and happening, the mind. Look, what's the problem with him? He said things people didn't like, and that's their big problem with him. Big deal. You hear things you don't like all day, every day. But the point being, a college campus, a place of education, the pinnacle of what's supposed to be the future and the great minds of our society, our country, our communities, our next generation. Nobody could even handle him just having opposing thoughts or ideas. So a college campus is just one direction. That's it. It's a one-way street. Our way or no way. If you show up, it's going to be a problem. Somebody does violence, screw you. Nobody cares. And then we've seen it over and over with like other people that speak different political oppositions that a campus doesn't agree with. I'm curious of all kinds of things with this. Should make people think about college isn't worth it.
Yeah, well, the left couldn't beat Charlie Kirk in a debate, so they had to kill Charlie Kirk.
No, they can't even talk about it or talk about anything. And then what do? Oh, no, it's fine. Then you see on the internet, oh, I'm so happy he's dead. Dude, he had a couple kids. He's got a wife. He's got family. There's other people involved with things when someone expires.
Well, it's a culture of death.
It's disgusting. Yeah, but it's a culture of death of people, if you want to put it that way. I don't know if it's culture
They're
of death.
pro-choice.
No, but these are the people that like, oh, I would have done something for this, or I would have stood up if there was Nazis. And if I was raised in Nazi Germany, I would have done something. They wouldn't have done nothing. They would have conformed just like they do now. They would have bent a knee and limp-wristed it right through and done this time crap.
No, Charlie Kirk did the thing that they all wish they could do, which is stand up for truth.
Yeah, and you watch them too. You saw these people celebrating on the interweb? Celebrate. Oh, I'm so happy. Man, shut up. Shut up. Sit down. You know what? You're not even going to be remembered. How about that? When you expire, you'll be forgotten. Seconds from the moment you expired. At least the man stood up. I don't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything by any means. But at least he stood up and did something, said something, tried something, made an attempt, got off his knees, stood up on his feet, lived on his feet, and he sat down at campus's open discussion. He doesn't have to have a microphone. He doesn't have a spot. Hey, come up and chit-chat with me. Show me if I'm wrong. Let's do some ideas. He didn't have to do any of that. None of them are doing that. All these ones celebrating, they're not doing none of that. They're sitting behind their little thing and a little crap and doing nothing. They'll be nothing. All these ones celebrating, they're nothing and nobodies. Screw them. Charlie Kirk at least tried. I'll give him that. He definitely has tried. Very respectable. He had a very respectable life.
I mean, he showed what I think we want to bring back in this country. He showed what discourse looks like. He showed what dialogue looks like. Right? He showed what it looks like to have debates.
He showed what I talk about all the time. I don't have to like you. I don't have to be your friend to be your damn neighbor. I say it all the time. I don't have to be your friend to be your neighbor. Talk to me. Talk to me. Let's be a community again. Let's be connected again as people in a society. He was trying to do that, even with every bad debate, seriousness ones, the funny one, all of them. But, as a guy, he didn't have to have a microphone there. Come up, chit-chat, say something. People cursing and yelling at him because they couldn't come with an idea. And then, do you agree on this, that? He went on that thing, what was it, 100 versus 1 or 80 versus 1 or whatever. All that stuff, too. He gave a lot of opportunity to talk. And he's not always right. And he wasn't always right. I didn't always agree with him. But he was showing you don't have to be friends to be neighbors. So aside from the division part, I think if anything we could learn from him is that he didn't want everybody hating each other and celebrating crap. He wanted everybody to do as best they could do to be right, like a proper human being, be a community, a society. And he didn't want people fighting over stupid crap that don't matter. He wanted this being more of a community and a country again, a collective, even with opposition and opposing thoughts and ideas and beliefs, religiously, ethically, societally, morally, and still remembering that I'm your neighbor.
Yeah, I think the assassination of Charlie Kirk is the left conceding the fact that they don't have any ideas. They couldn't debate Charlie Kirk on the merit of his ideas, and they couldn't present their own ideas that held any water, any value that would convince any reasonable person. So they decided to murder Charlie Kirk. So this is a concession of the fact that the left has nothing to offer in terms of politics. This is now an ideology that needs to be scrapped into the archives of history. We need to move forward. The only people that are ascribing to this ideology anymore are the ultra elites that have power and wealth to gain, and the mentally ill, and those who have been programmed into psychological disorders. This is not a serious ideology. All of the intellectually serious progressives and self-described Democrats have become Republican. You look at Tulsi Gabbard, you look at Elon Musk, you look at some of the thought influencers on the left have, by today's standards, are considered centrist and moderate Republicans. Like, this is no longer a serious political ideology that's an option in the marketplace anymore. They have completely disgraced themselves as psychopathic, murderous cabal that has no place in our country. Many of these shooters are transgendered, which is just another way of describing a demonically possessed, mentally ill psychopath. This is not anything less than that. So this is probably also the assassination and the death of liberalism in America. I mean, am I being too dramatic?
I think that this does have a huge impact in, like, I think that if you are a moderate in this country, this is the end of the moderates, regardless if it's the left or the right. I think that the moderates on the right will move further right. I think that the moderates that are in the left or in the center will shift right. And I think that the ones that are on the left and woke will continue to be engaged, excited by the fact that Charlie Kirk is dead, and they're going to move further left. I think that's what's going to happen. And so how that turns out, or how that, I said yesterday, this is going to do one of two things. It is either going to engage a group of men to stand up and take Charlie Kirk's place, or it's going to breed fear in the hearts of men, and those that have been speaking out will start to become quiet.
No,
and I think that either could happen. I think we're still at that point where we've watched these guys be assassinated, and there still could be an element to where we see people retreat.
I have all of my chips on the table for Gen Z and the young men of Gen Z, and let me explain why. I think they're going to be the latter group. I think they're going to be the group that's going to take Charlie Kirk's place, and they're going to be the firebrands and the warriors and the neo-crusaders of 2026 and 2027 and into the future. And let me tell you why. Every young man has the Spirit of God in them, and that Spirit of God tells young men, build, have purpose, die for something that actually matters. And maybe, just maybe, this is a generational call to young men that are under the age of 30 that have been given crap, that have been given student loan debt and lesbian dance theory as a major in college as an option, and they've been given pornography, and they've been given renting forever and never buying a house, and Western women who just want to be on OnlyFans. They're like, dude, why am I even here, bro? Like, my heart breaks for these young men.
Been given an opportunity to even be a man. The stuff you're talking
They're
about.
being told to wear mascara and put on a dress.
Yeah, they're not even given an opportunity.
They're not even
to be men. They're not even given an opportunity to stand up on their feet or be men. Be actual men.
I have chills right now, and I have the fear of God for those who oppose these young men right now, because they are a force to be reckoned with. Just watch. I want you guys to record this video September 2025. In the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see the biggest spiritual and political revival amongst young men under the age of 30 in this country. And maybe, just maybe, what happened yesterday was that spark that got that started. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little extra, but I just think that we cannot continue on the trajectory that we're on of debt and despair and hopelessness and death, and men are going to eventually say enough is enough. Like, I want something to die for. Charlie Kirk died for something yesterday. He died for America, for freedom, for being able to speak about the good news of Jesus Christ. That's what he did. And I had my disagreements with Charlie. I called Charlie a pawn for Zionism. But you know what? Our enemies see very little difference between Charlie Kirk and Jason Lupo and all these other people out there, because they are, either you're on the good team or you're on the bad team. You're on the kingdom of darkness and you're on the kingdom of light. And Charlie Kirk was a symbol of someone who stood on the kingdom of light. He was speaking truth. We can debate about what his motives were. I'm not going to do that today out of respect for his memory and his family. But this is the beginning of something monumental in the United States of America. That's what I think is happening.
Well, and he changed college campuses around the country. I mean, he mobilized that crowd of Gen Zers. He mobilized the young people like we've never seen happen in this country. And you know, we've talked about it so often, but the young people in this country and across the world have started and had impact in almost every mass political movement. It's all started with the youth. And so Charlie Kirk, he brought the youth of a nation to their feet. He put their feet to the fire and they responded. And I think it's so powerful. I don't want to keep going down this road at the present moment, but Charlie Kirk was supposed to be in Colorado Springs tonight speaking. Huge impact to so many in this community that loved and cared for Charlie Kirk and his movement and everything that Turning Point USA and Truth and Liberty has been doing. So my thoughts, prayers go out to his family, to his friends, those that are deeply impacted by his death. This has been Spiritual Insurgency. Join us online, YouTube, and Rumble. God bless.
Peace.
Want to better, be better.